Subscriber asked me a question recently. How do you know what DNS records should be there? And honestly, the answer is frustratingly unhelpful. The real answer is it depends. However, today I'm going to break down what that it depends actually means and give you a way to figure it out for yourself. Welcome to Rise and Shine, your daily business tech boost with me, Charly Leetham. If you're a small business owner looking to simplify technology and get real, actionable advice from someone with 35 years of IT experience, you're in the right place. Every episode, I'll dive into tools and systems like email, CRM, marketing and tracking, and I'll break them down into bite-sized tips you can use straight away. Your time is valuable, so let's get straight to the point. Rise and shine. It's time to work smarter, not harder. Leetham. Episode number 687. It's Mindset Monday, and we're talking about why, what DNS records do I need, has no simple answer, and what to do about it. Now, it might sound like it's a bit of a strange one for a Mindset Monday, but I think this is about thinking about how you approach this question, not necessarily how you answer this question, which is why I've put it as a Mindset Monday episode. This episode has come from a subscriber who watched my tutorial on finding where the Wix DNS manager actually was. Their question was basically, great, I found where the settings are, but how do I know what should be there? I completely understand this frustration. I completely understand the pain that is associated with it. You found the control panel, you're looking at a bunch of records and you're thinking, is this right? Is something missing? Should I change something? It's kind of like opening the hood of your car and staring at the engine. You can see all the parts, but unless you know what each one does, you don't know if something's wrong, if it's all working the way it should be, if something is slightly quite off. Your DNS records are completely tied to what services you're using. My DNS records look different to yours. Your DNS records look different to the businesses next door. If you're using Google for email, you'll have different records than someone who is using Microsoft 365 or someone who is using Zoho for mail. If your website is on WordPress, your records will look different to someone who is on Squarespace or Shopify. Every combination of services creates a different set of requirements. I said in my reply to this subscriber that asking what DNS records do I need is kind of like asking how long is a piece of string. I know that sounds like a cop-out. It felt like a cop-out when I wrote it. I felt really bad actually writing that response saying, I can't help you here. It really is the best analogy though. Your DNS is basically a directory for your domain name. It tells the internet where to find or where to send people who type in your web address, where to deliver your email, how to verify that you are who you say you are. The entries in that directory depend entirely on the services you have connected to your domain. Sorry, I'm reading from notes here so that I make sure I get all the points across because this can get really technical and really jargony. So I've written out a lot of plain English stuff here to make sure that I'm not so I don't get lost in that jargon. Now, there are no universal checklists. There's only your checklist based on your setup. And this is why tutorials, mine included, focus on showing you where the settings are and how to make the changes rather than telling you exactly what to type in. If I said put these records in, I'd be wrong for almost everyone watching. Look, a broken clock can be right twice an hour, right? Twice a day. I might get it right, but 9 times out of 10, it will be wrong. If I say put these records in exactly like this, it's going to be wrong for you. A tutorial can show you how to add a record, what each field means, and where to put the information you need or where to find the information you need. But the actual values, those come from your service providers, not from me and not from any tutorial. If you find that you are confused by DNS, that doesn't mean you're not tech savvy enough. DNS, domain name services, is one of those foundational internet systems that was never ever designed to be managed by everyday business owners. It was built by engineers for engineers. The fact that we're all now expected to understand it is a side effect of how accessible websites and email hosting have become. Please don't feel bad about it. Don't beat yourselves up for finding this confusing. It is confusing. Even people who work in tech full time get DNS wrong. And if you don't believe me, just think back to the number of times where the internet has gone down, like maybe for Australia, and the answer is, oh, someone messed up a routing change. They messed up their DNS. That's what they did. Let me talk about some of the common records and what they actually do. That might help you a little bit with this episode. I'm going to start with the most basic one, and that is the A record. The letter A, it's capital A, it's called the A record. The A stands for address, strangely enough, and that's exactly what it does. It points your domain name to the IP address of the server where your website lives. I want you to think of it a little bit like your website's street address. When someone types in your domain name, the A record says, go to this server. Now, you might also see, in addition to A, or you might only see a record, 4 A's, quadruple A, double A, double A record. That's the same thing, but it's for the newer version of internet addresses called IP version 6. I'm not going to get into it. I'm trying to keep the jargon to a minimum here. But there's IPv4, which is what the A records point to, and AAA records point to IPv6 IP addresses. Not everyone actually has an IPv6 address, and that's fine for now. But if your hosting provider gives you one, you need to add it. Next up is the CNAME records. CNAME stands for canonical name. I got it right. I have been practicing it and I've tripped over it more times than I've said it right, so I've said it right, which is a fancy way of saying an alias. Instead of pointing to an IP address like an A record does, so an A record points to an IP address, a CNAME points one domain name to another domain name. Now, this is really common with things like website builders. If you're using something like Wix or Squarespace, or if you've got a content delivery network like Cloudflare in front of your site, you'll often see CNAME records that point your address to their servers. They might point your www address to their servers. It's like saying when someone looks for www.mybusiness.com, send them to this other address over here and they'll take care of it all. So that's CNAME. We've done A records, we've done CNAMEs. The next most common are the MX records. Now, MX stands for mail exchange. These are the things that tell the internet where to deliver your email for your domain to. Without MX records, email sent to your domain has nowhere to go. It just goes into the ether, gets disappeared. It's like having a postal address that has no letterbox. If you're using Google Workspace, Microsoft 365, Zoho, or any other mail provider, they will give you specific MX records to add. Now, the values are different for every provider. Google's MX records look nothing like Microsoft's. Microsoft's look nothing like Zoho's. This is one of the big reasons your DNS is going to look different, or your DNS records are going to look different to someone else's. Okay. There's another record type that is quite common, and that is TXT records. We call them text records, TXT. And these are the workhorses of modern DNS. TXT records, hold text-based information, and they're used for a bunch of things. The most important ones for business owners today are SPF, Sender Protection Framework, DKIM, Don't Ask, or Domain Keys Identified Mail. I was going to say don't ask me to translate that, but I remembered it, and DMARC, and that is such a long one. I'm not even going to try DMARC. Now, I've done episodes on all three of these, but in short, SPF says who's allowed to send email on behalf of your domain. DKIM adds a digital signature to prove your emails haven't been tampered with, and DMARC tells receiving servers what to do if an email fails either the SPF or the DKIM checks. Without these, your emails are more likely to land in spam, or worse, someone else can send emails pretending to be you. TXT records can also be used for domain verification. I don't know if you remember when you went to Google to sign up for Google AdWords or something, it said you've got to verify your domain name, and it gave you a record. So when they ask you to verify your domain, they'll usually ask you to add a TXT record. Okay, so this next one is the one that you need to know about, but I'm going to say don't touch. Don't touch this one. This one can break everything. This is the NS records. NS stands for name server, and these are the records that tell the internet which DNS provider is in charge of your domain records. These are usually set when you register your domain or when you move your DNS management to a new provider. Honestly, don't touch them. If you move your DNS to a new provider, they will fix it up for you. And if they don't, we can work that out. But don't change them. If you do, you will break your domain. Changing NS records without knowing what you're doing can take your entire domain offline. Website, email, everything. So honestly, don't touch those ones. Okay, so the question now is, great, Charlie, you've told us why you can't answer the question. You've told us what we should be looking at, but how do we figure it all out? How do we figure out what records we really need? Like everything I recommend, you need to start by making a list of every service connected to your domain, your website hosting. Where does your site actually live? Your email provider, who handles your email, any third-party tools. Do you use something like MailChimp, Google Search Console, a CRM, a help desk, Google AdWords, anything that is using your domain name? Each one of those services will have DNS requirements. Once you know what services you're using, you know what records you need to start looking for. Now, the good news here is that you don't need to figure out the actual record values yourself. Once you've got that list, you will be able to go and find the information. Every reputable hosting company, email provider, and third-party tool will have a setup documentation that tells you exactly what DNS records to add. Go search for it, go and have a look in, ask their AI chatbots, and then ask to speak to a real person if you're having trouble. Look for DNS records for, that's the term, DNS records for, and then your provider's name, like DNS records for Google Workspace or DNS setup for Shopify. They'll give you the exact record type, the name, and the value. Your job is to add what they tell you to add in the right place. You really don't invent anything. You don't have to. This next bit is really, really important. If you're looking at your DNS records and you see something you don't understand, please don't delete it. It might be a verification record for a service you forgot you connected. It might be an email authentication record that's keeping your emails out of spam. It might be something your web developer added years ago that's still doing its job. If you delete the wrong record, you could break your email, you could take your website offline, you could lose access to a third-party service. If you don't know what the record does, leave it alone until you can find out more. Where do we check and see what our domain name is set up for? Initially, when I did this one, I was talking about, I had, when I wrote the script for this one, I was talking about tools and stuff. And then I thought, no, let's talk about the best source of truth. And that is always where your domain is managed, your domain manager, the dashboard where your DNS is actually hosted. If you're one of my clients, you'll find that your DNS is hosted on Cloudflare. You need to log into Cloudflare, go to DNS records and have a look there. If you're on cPanel, you may find that cPanel is managing your domain names and has all your DNS records in it. If you're with another provider, they may have set up a third-party domain name manager for you. If you're not certain, reach out either to your hosting provider or to your domain name provider or to your tech support person, me, for example, and they should be able to point you in the right direction. But it is here that you can see every record that's set up. External tools like mxtoolbox.com, which I absolutely adore, can help as a second option. They'll show you what the rest of the internet can see for your domain, but they don't show you everything. DKIM records, for example, you need to know the selector to even look that one up. They don't display all CNAME records. You sometimes need to know what the CNAME record is you're looking for because it's been suppressed. It won't come up automatically. Now, the tools are useful, but they're a supplement. They're not a replacement for knowing your right way around your own domain manager. Alrighty, so when do you call in help? I'm going to be really, really straight up here with you. DNS is not something to experiment with. If you're not sure what you're doing, get help before you make changes. A wrong record can take your website offline. A missing record can send all your email to spam. A deleted record can break something you didn't even know was connected. This is one of those areas where the cost of getting it wrong far outweigh the costs of getting someone in to help you get it right. Whether that's your web developer, your hosting provider support team, or someone like me, just ask before you click. It's kind of like call before you dial before you dig, isn't it? Just ask before you click. Alrighty, guys, how was that one for you? Have I raised more questions than I've answered? I certainly hope so, because that's how we learn and grow. Have you had a DNS disaster? Have you figured out a system that works for you? I would love to know. Please, please, please leave comments wherever you're watching or listening to this video, this episode. If it was useful, if this episode was useful, I would absolutely adore a like, and maybe you could share it with a friend. It certainly helps me get a little bit more reach, and hopefully it will help someone else who's in a bit of a bind. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you can find out when I drop more content. And of course, if you need more help with this, I am here to help. If you haven't already booked your free 30-minute breakthrough session, you can do that by visiting my website, askcharlyleetham.com, and clicking on the button in the top right-hand corner. Or if you have already used your breakthrough session, you can reach out and hire me to help you. I would love to help you out. Alrighty, I'm going to see you on Wednesday, where we're looking at Walkthrough Wednesday. And until then, stay well. Bye, guys. Hey there, thanks so much for tuning in to Rise and Shine, your daily business tech boost. I hope today's episode gave you some actionable insights that will make your business tech work smarter for you. If you found value, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other small business owners who could use a daily boost. For more tips, tools, and resources, visit www.askcharlyleetham.com. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and let's make tech simple together.